At 16 minutes past 7, the country's 4 Catholic archbishops say the government's decision to legislate and regulate for abortion should be of utmost concern to all. Archbishops Sean Brady, Dermot Martin, Dermot Clifford and Michael Neary have called for TDs and senators to be given a free vote when legislation is voted on next year, according to the Minister for Health, James Riley. The government decision comes after an expert group reported on how to respond to a judgment of the European Court of Human Rights on abortion here. Leo O'Reilly is Bishop of Kilmore and he's on the phone. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's clear that you don't agree with the decision by the government. What do you think they should do?
Well, we certainly don't agree with it. If the government decides to legislate for the X case, as they have announced their intention of doing, it means that the careful balance between the right to life of the mother and the equal right to life of her unborn child will be fundamentally changed, and that would pave the way for the direct and intentional killing of unborn children, and that can't be morally justified. Legislating for the X case not only would legalise abortion, but for the very first time in Ireland, it would inevitably lead to the most liberal kind of abortion, and this would be a radical change in the culture of life that we have had here in this country, and let's not any mistake about it, it would be an irrevocable change. There wouldn't be any going back. It would change a culture which has meant that Ireland without abortion is one of the safest places in the world in which to be pregnant and to give birth. And that, we believe, would be the first step on the way to what Pope John Paul has called a culture of death.
So what should the government do? Should they ignore its expert group, the Supreme Court judgment of 20 years ago, the United Nations Human Rights Committee and the European Court of Justice?
One of the recommendations that the expert group made was the path of guidelines of regulation. They have decided not to follow that path, and we believe that's profoundly wrong, because if you bring in abortion, even if the intention is to have very restricted abortion, experience shows that it will lead to more liberal abortion. International experience, our nearest neighbour in England, is a most obvious example. It shows that you just can't legislate for limited abortion, especially if the threat of suicide or of mental health grounds are considered grounds for abortion.
But the legislation in Britain, the 1967 Abortion Act, is very different to the type of legislation that we believe is being proposed as a result of this expert group.
Well, we don't know yet what kind of legislation.
Well, we do know, Bishop O'Reilly,
proposed.
that it's with regard to the to protecting the life of the mother when there is deemed to be a substantial risk, as opposed to the health of the mother in the UK.
Yes, and I was watching programme last night on television where there was a discussion of this. There were 2 people in it who were advocating this legislation and in favour of it, and they were already talking about this as the first stage, and that is what has happened elsewhere, and I have no doubt that is what will happen here. This is a profound moral issue, and there is no more important right than the right to life. And once you say that one human life can be directly destroyed, then no human life is safe. We believe that our public representatives are faced with the unavoidable choice. Will I choose to defend and vindicate the equal rights to life of a mother and the child in her womb, or will I choose to license the direct and intentional killing of the innocent baby in the mother's womb? That's a very, very stark decision to be faced with, but that's what faces our TDs, and we believe their consciences should be respected in this regard. They must listen to their consciences and not be dictated to by political masters in this matter. Whether it's a free vote or not a free vote, that's
because the Taoiseach has indicated that it won't be a free vote, but you're suggesting that it should be.
Well, one way or the other, whether it is or whether it isn't, a TD has, and every public representative who has a vote has an obligation to follow their conscience and what they believe is right, and that I hope that they will give this extremely careful consideration, listen to all sides, and that they will do what they consider to be right and not what is politically expedient.
When you say about listening to all sides, do you accept that your voice, that your opinion is just one voice, one opinion, and that there are plenty of voices and opinions on this matter, and TDs have to take all of those voices into consideration?
Of course there are plenty of voices, and TDs, we expect them to listen to the different voices. We expect them also to discern and to see what is right and what is wrong. Unfortunately, in the discussion of this yesterday and today, I didn't hear any reference in the minister's statement or in any other statements on the discussion that I saw last night about what is right and what is wrong. And I think that consideration has to be foremost in this whole debate. It is a profound moral decision.
Leo O'Reilly, Bishop of Kilmore, thank you very much.